This may be hard for you to believe, but homework questions and how to ask questions on homework is one of the more crucial parts of being a math student and a math teacher. I want to give you some of the means by which we're going to organize ourselves with homework questions a lot better this year than I've ever done in years past. And part of that is because we need to be ready to go virtual at a moment's notice or be back in class at a moment's notice and have people interplaying in both different ways. So given that, it's also very, very important to me that each of you has a voice in the class, meaning the class discussion is not just dominated by a few people, but everybody gets their voice heard. Some of that means that you have to be just a little vulnerable and know that we're not judging any question that you have, anything. Nobody is. It's a little mindset that's tricky to get into and really start to take that internally. So some of the ways that we're going to do this, the first space is in this collaboration space of OneNote. So I'm going to go to chapter 1, and one of your first assignments is going to be a word problem assignment. There'll be 10 questions on that assignment. If you need to see the problem, and I really want to emphasize what that means is if you need to see the problem, means you've tried the problem once, you've looked at your notes, you've tried a second time. This has to be more than just, I can't even start, because if we can't even start, we need to do something different. But if you really need to see the problem worked out, and we have some time in class to do this, then just put an X here, and that will upvote the problem. I'm not going to be able to work out numbers 1 through 10 when we're going over questions in the 10 or 15 minutes we might have to do that. But I can look at the most common ones. Now, I'm not saying that if there happen to be X's here and nothing here, but I think this one's important to talk about right here, I might make that decision. But this just gives some sense of feedback. Now, what also is not completely obvious, but what I would really like is you put an X here, but then give a reason down below for number 4. Like, I wasn't sure about how to set up number 4. And then maybe say, is 4 less than a number the same as 4 minus x or x minus 4? As you get a little bit more advanced, you can do the alt equals and go 4 minus x or x minus 4. It makes it look all nice and mathy. I'm going to spread that, but you don't have to do that. Just give me a sense of what your question is. Those questions that you get there, I can actually see who asked those. So I get a sense of who I'm talking to, even though I'm not going to ever call you out or be specific about it. But it lets me get to know you a little bit better as a student. And it shows me that there's something a little bit more important to you than just give me an answer. It's kind of the process and how. So that's a place to just ask a question. You can put that anywhere down here, and you can type it, you can handwrite it, you can record yourself. I don't anything that gives me a sense of what you have. You can even post a picture of your work, and I've had students do that last year in the shutdown, and just kind of say, I wasn't sure about where this is, and we can comment on that. Any student can actually respond to these. So that's the neat part of this, is that it doesn't just have to be me. As you guys get to know each other better, any student can respond on this collaboration space. It's quite honestly what it is. When we get down to review assignments, you can record questions that you have while reviewing the chapter. Record means write down or just put up there, just general questions that you have. I don't keep the whole grid here, but this is also just a space that you can write these questions down. I get a notification and a little thing whenever anything is changed on here. So I get a little boldness on the page, and so I know to go look at it. There's also a little notification space up here. There it is, where I can see what's changed and where. So I will see if you put something there. I promise you that. Back to the other bit, another great place to ask questions when we're not physically together is going to be our class Google Chat. So I'm going to open up Google Chat right now. It's chat.google.com, but I have it running as a web app, so it can appear as a different browser window down here than just my regular browser. And you can see right up here that we have a chat window for a class. And on this, I can go down to say, let's just start a new thread, and we can call this homework questions, and just start typing. And I don't think I have to explain to you guys how to use a chat room, but that's for our class. And that's a place for you to not only post questions, but also respond and get feedback from your peers. It's very common for me to have students post work in there, and think about that as a little bit more instantaneous. So those are two options you have to get help on homework when we are away from each other. This is under the distance learning. So if we have to go distance, those are two places you have to get homework help.